The last episode of The Bad Batch is here, and what a relief to wake up and see it was a nice, long 50-minute episode. It felt like a great bookend to the series with an extended premiere and finale, and this episode had a lot of fun callbacks to how it all began. Overall, the story played out pretty much as I expected, with all of our main heroes surviving, which is a relief, but I also never thought they were all safe. I was invested and anxious the entire time. I was immediately put on edge thanks to the muted and somber introduction. And then Wrecker is still recovering from his injuries wrestling the Dryax. Kinda like when he was knocked out during the attack on Pabu, it seemed like an excuse to weaken the crew a little bit, but it also felt completely in character for Wrecker. How many times have we seen him gleefully jumping onto some creature throughout the series? Hemlock confronts the captured Rampart and they trade some barbs. I like that the two primary villains of the series are also antagonists to each other. Classic Imperial bickering. Hemlock talks about how indispensable he is to the Empire, and Rampart is like the key example of how no one is indispensable to the Empire except for the Emperor. Rampart thought he was so important until all of a sudden he wasn't, and he was thrown under the bus in Season 2. Hemlock's overconfidence is astounding. Meanwhile, Omega preps her new squad, the Bad Batch babies, to escape. When their guards aren't looking, they take down the nanny droid and quickly reprogram it to take out Scalder, which is definitely something that seems like Clone Force 99 would teach her, because they did exactly that in the series premiere. During their training test under Tarkin's watch, they reprogram one of the sentry droids to fight with them. The kids escape into the walls and head straight to the Zillo Beast, the moment we've been waiting for since Season 2. Heck, we've been waiting for this since Season 2 of the Clone Wars. That sequence did not disappoint. We got chompin', we got stompin', and the hard cut from its roar into the silence of the vault was great. It gives you an idea of how large Tantiss is. I love that Emery and Echo are just trying to keep up with Omega and her chaos, but Echo is able to track her because she is thinking like him and the rest of the batch. Outside, Crosshair deals with some hand tremors as he continues facing his fears, and I think we get to the root of his issues a little more. Yes, he's afraid to go back inside, but he also tries to split up the squad and go in alone because of Wrecker's injury. I think he's also afraid of losing more of his family, so he tries to do the stupid noble thing and go in alone. He probably read every other Star Wars script and was like, oh, I was bad, but now I'm good again. The next step on my journey is sacrificing myself. He thinks Omega needs them more than she needs him, and he says Clone Force 99 is over, but his brothers rightfully tell him to shut up. The squad has changed, sure. It changed when they added Echo. It changed when they lost Tech. But they've always been a family, and they're going to stick together no matter what. They see the Zillo Beast bust out of Tantiss and decide to use the giant hole as their way in. I do wish the Zillo got to do a little more. I wanted it to eat Hemlock. I thought that would have been a fitting end for him, but the rampage we got was still cool, and now I guess there's just a Zillo on Wayland now if we ever return to this planet. Omega and the kids also head towards the hole in the base, climbing up a ladder. I love that little moment of Omega encouraging Jax to get through his fear of heights. The second he admitted he would make a poor soldier, I started tearing up because this show has us so well trained to associate heights with Wrecker. It's been a constant joke, and then it all pays off in this very sweet moment of telling a child that his fears don't define him or his potential. With more and more problems popping up, Hemlock activates his new set of CX operatives. I'm pretty sure the music that plays in this scene links back to the Mandalorian and the Dark Troopers. According to Dr. Pershing, the earlier generations of Dark Troopers were people and not droids. Clones being used as Phase Zero troopers was a concept from Star Wars Legends, so this could be a fun musical way to tie the CX troopers to their potential droid successors. I was surprised to see that they were all unique. I figured it would be one new iteration of the CX armor, but this team was quickly intimidating. All of the characters started to converge on that hangar where the Zillo broke out, and I started to get so hyped thinking everyone would have another happy reunion, but instead the CX team captures Hunter, Wrecker, and Crosshair in an exciting sequence, and Crosshair loses his hand. I love that development. This entire series, we've talked about how tied up Crosshair's identity is with being a soldier. He's been wrestling with that the entire season after developing the trimmer. Can he be anything other than a killer? It was painful, but now he's lost the symbol of that struggle. It's very Jaime Lannister. His whole thing was being a great fighter too, but then the loss of his hand forced him to change and become better. We do get a smaller happy reunion as Echo and Imri finally catch up to Omega and the kids. The Bad Batch babies are sent to safety with Imri, and I love that it's not even a question that Omega is staying behind. Cool Uncle Echo knows she can handle herself. He doesn't hem and haw like Hunter would have a season or two ago. Speaking of, Hunter and the others are stuck with Hemlock as they undergo reconditioning where they might eventually turn into CX troopers themselves. That process looks a lot like what Crosshair went through back in the series premiere. I was glad to see that callback. To save her brothers, Omega and Echo release all the clones held on Tantiss, which is another moment we've been waiting for all season. They're given the chance to escape while they can, but of course they decide to stay behind and help the last 3 trapped clones that need them. And Nala Se says goodbye to Omega so she can destroy all her research, which stupid Rampart overhears following after her. He misses her picking up a thermal detonator, though. I was expecting him to maybe see some proof that Crosshair had truly changed after being incredulous last episode, which could have potentially led to a change of heart for Rampart, but I respect the Bad Batch for giving 2 examples in this series of people who show the capacity to do the right thing, even building to a fist-pumping moment where they might become better people, and then showing that no, not everyone is going to choose that path. Some people are like Sid or Rampart. They will choose loyalty to themselves, and in Rampart's case, loyalty to someone who already discarded him. He thinks it's Hemlock's data and research that makes him so indispensable, so if he only had that, then he'd be back on the Emperor's good side. But of course he's wrong. He had several chances to choose a different path, and then his final act of shooting Nala Se results in his own highly satisfying death. I only wish we could have heard him scream one more time. He dies along with the foundations for Project Necromancer. Tarkin calls Hemlock, and I love that he must have spies somewhere on Tantiss, otherwise how would he know the Zillo Beast got loose? This is so similar to how he acts towards Krennic in Rogue One. It's perfect, ready to knock down these supposedly indispensable rivals the first chance he gets. The clones attack the training room as a distraction while Omega frees her brothers, but they don't escape before Hemlock shows up to take her away one last time. He scoffs at the loyalty of clones as a weakness, but I love how hollow those words are. Clone loyalty destroyed everything he worked so hard to achieve. Clone loyalty saved the galaxy, even if they don't know it. Clone loyalty gave Nala Se the chance to destroy her research and cripple Project Necromancer, meaning decades from now, Palpatine's spirit will be unable to inhabit a suitable clone vessel. Without the clones' loyalty to one another, the galaxy would have been under the Emperor's rule forever. The Batch and the other clones are able to kill all the CX troopers, which was wild. Some of them took like 5 shots. We do see one of their faces in all the chaos, and it's just a reg. None of them are revealed to be Tech or Crosshair or anything. But I will admit that one of them seemed extra tall and strong. They all seemed to have some similar abilities or design elements to the rest of the Batch, so while I still think they were all regs, there might be something more to them. Maybe some of them got cybernetic enhancements to better match Clone Force 99 in combat or something. Hunter and Crosshair chase down Hemlock, and for the second time this season, a shaky Crosshair is entrusted to make a difficult shot to save Omega. But this time he delivers. He acknowledges his fear, but sees the trust his family has in him, and he succeeds. And then Omega runs up and hugs him first. He was the one that thought she didn't need him, thought of himself as lesser than Hunter and Wrecker. I said it at the start of this video, but I am so relieved he survived this series. We are trained to expect sacrifice and death, especially from recently redeemed characters in Star Wars, but Crosshair has been such a good example of redemption and atonement in the Bad Batch, and I'm glad to know that he's going to get to experience the love of his family for years after this. The clones jumping to hyperspace right before the arrival of Tarkin's Imperial-class Star Destroyer was awesome, a true symbol of the reign of the Empire appearing as some of the final heroes of the Republic escape. Tarkin shuts down the Tantiss base and redistributes all of its funding to Project Stardust. Again, such a Tarkin move, using the resources of someone supposedly so indispensable to the Empire for his own gain. I really hope we haven't seen the last of Tantiss. The base was central to Thrawn's campaign against the New Republic in the Legends books, so it would be amazing to see Thrawn return here. Although the second he sees a Zillo Beast wandering around, he might say never mind. Back on Pabu, we see what our heroes plan to do from now on. Echo and Imri look like they'll be working together with Senator Chuchi on Pantora to continue fighting for the clones left in the galaxy. Hunter and Omega discuss finding the families of the children they saved. I'm gonna go ahead and assume that happens easily, and Baron will wind up back with his mother in no time. They also wonder what will happen to the clones. Will they stay on Pabu? What will they become? Now they can do whatever they want. I know as Star Wars fans, we often want clear and defined answers, but leaving this up in the air is beautiful. We're wrapping up the story of the Bad Batch, yes, but also all of the clones. They were created to be one thing, soldiers. They never got to choose that life. They were also created to betray their friends and leaders, a horrific act they did not get to choose. But now, for the first time in their lives, the Batch and the clones get to choose their own destiny and purpose. We jump ahead a number of years to see Pabu thriving. I was under the impression the island might have to be evacuated after it was discovered by the Empire, but I'm going to assume that since that was under Hemlock's direction, that its location died with him and the CX troopers. But anyway, more importantly, we see Omega choosing her destiny. She is joining the rebellion and saying goodbye to her brothers, specifically Hunter, who still wants to keep her safe. He's still struggling with what he was taught way back in the second episode, that he'll always want to keep her safe, but it's an impossible goal, and one day he will have to let her go, which he accepts even though he admits he's not ready. On her new ship, we see the reminders of her home and the people that raised her. Lula, Tech's goggles, lights in the back where she sleeps. And so the series ends. Going back through the episode and writing this review, I teared up like 4 times. I already miss spending time with these characters, but the great thing about Star Wars is that this finale is almost certainly not goodbye, it's just see you later. I absolutely would have loved to see Rex and his team make one last appearance. I'm actually shocked that didn't happen. I wouldn't have minded seeing what Hemlock and Palpatine kept in those tubes in that spooky Sith room, but we also know what's in there. We don't need to see it confirmed, and not knowing for sure is creepier anyway. I'm not left with any real lingering questions. I'm satisfied and happy, and frankly, I want to binge watch the whole series now to experience the full character arcs from the start. But I'm going to wrap up this video. Let me know what you thought of The Cavalry Has Arrived in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on our socials, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.